recording. All right. Let's see if we're getting... Okay, so somebody with a microphone, tell me when you can see the PowerPoint. And can you see it now or no?
Yeah, we can see the PowerPoint.
Oh, sorry. Thank you all. Okay, so this is going to be a very, very quick session. I'm just going to go over kind of tips and tricks about the essay itself. So I really like how this class is set up. So all of those research lessons that you guys have so much fun doing, I'm sure you had a lot of fun doing those. And sometimes they feel redundant, and I know they do. I totally understand. But they serve a wonderful purpose, and that is you already have your sources for your paper. You already know how to read an article and pick out the main topics. That was in Research Lesson 1. You know how to read and make a graph. That was Research Lesson 2. You have your journal, which was 3. You have your website, which was 4. And you know how to tell if a source is biased. That was 5. So you guys have all the tools in your arsenal to make a very, very successful paper. So that's why we go through this kind of semester-long process. So the most important thing, let's talk about the due dates. Your writing tutor feedback is due the 30th, which is this Friday. You must take a full draft to the writing tutor. The tutors are under instructions to not sign it if it does not have at least an introduction, a body paragraph, a conclusion, and a reference page, and a graph. It doesn't have to be good. Well, let me rephrase that. It should be the best that you can possibly do. But don't feel bad that if you go and you have a lot of red marks or however they mark it on a computer now. That's why you take it there, to make it better. You should do the best that you can do, because then the writing tutor will be able to make your paper that much better. Okay? Now, if you guys have not made a writing tutor appointment yet, do so ASAP. Please do so ASAP. Writing tutors get extremely booked this time of year. So, and I should probably mention this, you also have to book a tutoring appointment 48 hours in advance. So you have to book by Wednesday if you want to get in by Friday, which is the due date. Okay, so the actual final essay is the 13th of November. So you have 2 weeks to incorporate the writing tutor's feedback. If you want to go back, you totally can go back and say, here's my draft. Will you read it again? I fixed what you told me to fix, blah, blah, blah. I think I heard a chat. I did. Okay, so the graph is included in the essay itself. It needs to go right in the middle of the body paragraphs. It needs to go where you're talking about the information that is pertinent to. 2 pages is a rough guideline. The real guideline is that the essay, not the references and everything, but the essay has to be 500 words. It ends up being around 2 pages, but if you make your graph like half a page, then it might be a little bit more. So depending on the size of your graph, 2 pages is rough, but 500 words is what I would stick to. Okay, so many people have had that same problem, Megan. So I've been in contact with Dr. Bev. We are trying so hard to get that fixed. But in the meantime, my recommendation, and I'm so sorry that you guys have to do this, but you guys are just going to have to take the initiative because this is a newer system and we're still working out the glitches. If you look and go like you're going to make a tutoring appointment, it will still let you see all the writing tutors. So go through the list and start emailing writing tutors. Explain the situation that your register blast won't work and that you need a writing appointment because they fit you in. That is my best recommendation. And again, I'm so sorry that you have to do that. But for some people it's working, for others it's absolutely not, and I have no idea why. Dr. Bev has no idea why. So I'm sorry, but yeah, just the ones I know off the top of my head, I know Rayanne Reed, Destiny Johnson. Yes, so for the course we choose writing because this will be a writing tutor. This is not a biology tutor. You cannot take this to just a biology tutor. You have to take it to a writing tutor. Now, if it's like, I know that Rayanne is a writing tutor and a biology tutor. That's fine, but you still have to book it for writing. Okay, does that make sense? And Megan, I'm so sorry about that, but yeah, and if any of you guys are having that same issue, just pick a tutor. Like I said, the ones I know off the top of my head are Rayanne Reed, Jaden Daly, Destiny Johnson. I think that's all the ones I know off the top of my head. But any of our writing tutor staff are more than qualified to help you all, okay? Okay. Let's get back to it.
Writing tutor, do we actually like set up an appointment with them, like we set up like a study session and like they tutor us, or do they just read our paper and then give us feedback on it?
So that is up to the tutor. When you make an appointment, either through Register Blast or through email, whichever one it will let you do, you will submit your paper, and then they will tell you, hey, I'll read it and I'll get it back to you in 24 hours, or hey, I'll read it and then let's meet up to discuss the changes. Okay, good question, Eric. So it is standard practice that if you submit an essay, you should book the appointment for 1 hour. It'll also say that in Register Blast, it'll say like 1 hour, and in parentheses, it'll say like an essay or something like that. So all the appointments should be booked for 1 hour. That does not necessarily mean it will last for 1 hour. That hour will compensate for the time it'll take the tutor to read your paper, make comments, and discuss it to you. And yes, a lot of them will be online. How tutoring works is you have to request it to be in person. The default is all online. Yes, so when you make the appointment, if it's not done when you make the appointment, shoot them an email and be like, hey, I don't have it finished, but I will get it to you 24 hours before my appointment. That is common courtesy. Don't send them the essay 10 minutes before you're supposed to meet with them, because I can't read a 2-page paper in 10 minutes. So, and like I said, so every writing tutor does it differently. I used to be a writing tutor, and what I would do is I would have my kids email it to me. I would make my corrections, and then at the actual time that you made the appointment, I would just meet with you. Of course, now it'd be all virtually. I'd meet with you for like 20 minutes and just talk about the corrections I made, and we can make a plan to fix it. But if it's not finished when you make the appointment, then just email them and tell them. Okay. Do we book a session for Thursday being the last day? Should be turned. Okay, Nikaya. So you can book a session for Thursday. But the tutor deadline is Friday. So you have to turn in the tutor feedback, which means that whatever corrections they make on your paper, just download it as a PDF, and there should be a Dropbox on the eLearn page, so then you can just drop it in there. So what is due by the 30th is a PDF of your tutor's feedback. You can absolutely do it on the 29th. You can do it on the 28th. You can do it today. I know some of you have already had it. You can do it whenever. Just that PDF of the tutor's feedback. So what the tutor said to you has to be in by Friday. And if you have any questions about that, again, you can shoot me, Fallon, or even Dr. Arnett an email, and we'll help you out. Okay, all these are really good questions. Are there any others? Okay, so let's recap real quick. Tutor feedback has to be in by Friday. You are either going to make a writing appointment through email or through register blast, whichever the system will let you do at this point, okay? Then you'll send your essay either when you make the appointment or within 24 hours of your, I cannot stress that enough, y'all, okay? Then your tutor will decide how they want to proceed. Most of them will read the essay before your appointment and then just meet with you like 15-20 minutes at your actual appointment time to go over it. Some do it differently. That is just how I did it when I was tutoring. So that's all I have to go on. But they'll let you know. They will communicate with you. And then you have to upload whatever they mark on, whatever they give their feedback on. You have to upload that to the Dropbox for writing tutoring feedback on the eLearn page. Okay? Does that make more sense? Yes, no, still confused? Okay. I'll take that as we're good to go, right? Yes. Same stage. Okay. So now let's get into the meat and potatoes of actually writing your paper. So here's just some tips that I found helpful when writing my own paper. And some of them are just general good research paper rules. First of all, make an outline of your essay before writing it. It does not have to be very detailed. Just make sure that you know what's going to go in each section before you start writing blind. It makes the structure of your essay much more organized, and it also makes the process of writing it go much faster. Okay, so my tip, if possible, is to only use the 2 sources found in Research Lesson 3 and 4. Those are the only 2 sources you have to use. Personally, I wouldn't put more work on myself unless I needed an extra bit of information. If you do, that is completely, totally, and utterly okay. You just have to get it approved by Dr. Arnett before you incorporate it into your paper. So send her an email. Hey, I want to use this source from the FDA in my paper. Is it okay? And she'll tell you yes or no. Okay? Okay. Always use a formal voice and do not write in the first person. These 2 go together. So it is informal to write in the first person. So I, me, we, you, Those should not go in a research paper. Okay? Always use a formal voice. If you would not say it in a formal presentation, do not write it in a formal paper. So, slang terms, anything of that sort should not be in this. Okay? And again, most of the informalness comes from saying like, we as a class will, or something like that. So just make sure not to write in the first person. I think that's the big tip. And if you get away from that, then your paper will be a lot more formal than if it wasn't. Okay, so my last tip is to get your APA references and in-text citations checked by Rebecca Newman, the librarian, or by Dr. Arnett. Rebecca Newman eats, sleeps, breathes citations. That is, I'm sure she does more than that, but that is her main job on campus, question mark. I'm not sure what all she does as a resource librarian, but she is a wonderful human being, a wonderful person to get your citations checked. Send her an email, say, hey, I have a 2-page paper for bio. Do you mind to check my citations? Again, courtesy, if she says yes, email her your paper. Give her 24 hours at least to check it. Do not hand her a 2-page paper and say, here, it's due in 15 minutes. It's not going to happen. Give her at minimum 24 hours to check it. But I do, especially most of you all, this is your first time writing a semi-big paper in APA, have her checking it is wonderful. Okay, so now we're going to get into the introduction. So how to write an introduction, always start with a hook. It could be just a statement about climate change. It could be a definition. Just start with something that's going to grab the reader's attention. Then this is where the funnel comes in. You're going to start with a broad topic and then narrow it down to the topic of your essay. So if your essay is about climate change on turtles, talk about climate change and then say climate change has an effect on aquatic regions. One specific example is a sea turtle. Make sure that you narrow it down. Okay, so if you scheduled an appointment for 1 p.m. on Friday, no, you're totally fine. So if you schedule an appointment for 1 p.m. on Friday, have it sent to them, I would say Thursday afternoon by the absolute latest. Okay? No problem. Okay. So this is where you will give general, broad background information on your topic. Okay. This next one is so important, you guys. Indirectly explain the purpose and importance of your paper or topic in general. So every good research paper has a purpose statement, but please do not write, the purpose of this paper is to inform the reader about climate change on sea turtles. Please don't do that. Indirectly state it, okay? And then your introduction will end with your thesis statement, which is right here. So I know if you haven't done at least a biology thesis statement before. So here is just the basic format. So first, the thesis statement is the last sentence of your introduction. If the thesis statement, I'm going to get it out here in a minute, y'all. If the sentence that you want to be your thesis statement is not the last sentence of your introduction, then it is not actually your thesis statement. Your thesis statement is the last sentence of your introduction, and it acts as a roadmap for the rest of your paper. So an example, this right here is the format that I use as a junior in the biology department. transition word, comma, the topic can be explained by the subtopics. So if I was doing climate change on sea turtles, I would say ultimately, the effects climate change has on sea turtles can be explained by examining the population rates over the last 10 years, or whatever my sources were looking at. Does that make sense? So I said, ultimately, that's a good transition word, a good smooth entrance. Climate change effects on sea turtles, that's my main topic, can be explained by examining the population of sea turtles over the last 10 years. That's my subtopic. That's how I can explain and how I can back up my main topic. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. So the body paragraph. I know this confuses a lot of people because it says to explain an environmental impact. If you are doing mutualism, this is where you explain your mutualistic relationship. And you can relate this to the environment. You can definitely relate it to the environment, but this is also where you would explain that main mutualistic relationship. So in this body paragraph, you should not include your personal feelings about the topic or about other opinions. I mainly put this in here for climate change. Even if you do not believe that climate change is real or have differing political beliefs, that cannot be in this paper. This has to be an unbiased paper. This has to be off of the sources you found about your certain topic, okay? Political beliefs, personal beliefs, biased feelings, or if the other way is you think that climate change is drastically affecting the polar bears and the source that you found says that polar bears are not that badly affected, which I don't believe is true, but say a source says it. You have to go off of the source you have seen, okay? Off of your two sources. So your opinions, they matter, but not in this paper. Okay, make sure to discuss your graph without restating what is shown. So you should not be, in week 1, the population was 10. In week 2, the population was 9. We can see that by reading the graph. Talk about what it means. Okay, make sure to use in-text citations anytime you use information that is not your own. Do not use quotes. That's another big thing. You should paraphrase everything. Nothing should be a direct quote. As Dr. Arnett said, no scientist writes something so well that it can't be reworded. Okay? And lastly, your body paragraphs must be two complete paragraphs. Okay? All right, so in-text citations. Purdue OWL is your best friend. If you go into the internet search bar and just type in Purdue OWL, APA, a whole thing will pop up, and it is just glorious information, and it will tell you step by step how to get an in-text citation. So you must have an in-text citation after every thought or piece of information that you put into words that's not yours, and then also after your graph or table, you have to have an in-text citation. So, an example of an in-text citation is Lafferty, the author's last name, comma, the year, comma, the page numbers at page 1. Okay? Okay, so this is so important, you all. Make sure that you are not restating your resources. Explain what the results mean and dig deeper. We can read the journal article. We can see what the methods were and what the results were and how they did it and all of that. We can read all of that. Talk about how it relates to your topic. Talk about what it means in a whole. Talk about how it relates to your other source, your website. Talk about it as a whole. Use the sources to back up your thoughts. Don't use the source as your thoughts, okay? The source should just act as a support. It shouldn't be the whole paper, okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So the conclusion is a little bit different. It's not the conclusion that you would write in, say, a humanities class. It's not just a restatement of the introduction and wrap it up with a nice little bow. This actually gives new information. So what is next concerning your topic? This is pretty easy. If you have climate change, talk about where the situation is going. Do you see it getting better? Do you see it getting worse? Is your species a threatened or endangered species? Are they a vulnerable species? Things like that. However, if you have mutualism, you might think, oh my goodness, that's so hard, but it's actually not. Think about, is this relationship threatened? Is one species endangered? Because in a mutualistic relationship, you have to have both species to benefit. So what would happen if one is threatened? And it's okay to say, excuse me, it's okay to say neither of these species are threatened, blah, 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 but look into it. Okay? All right, so your reference page, you must have a reference page. The good thing about Research Lesson 3 and 4 is that you already have an approved APA citation. So you can just copy and paste your APA citation from Research Lesson 3 and 4, assuming that you did it correctly and you didn't get points taken off for it, and put it on your reference page. If you did get points deducted, make sure to follow up with Purdue OWL. Check your APA citation, make sure it's good, and again, get your reference page checked by Rebecca Newman. If you mistakenly don't cite something or anything of that sort, and Rebecca Newman says that you plagiarized, you do not get a penalty. If you don't know how to do in-text citations, so you just don't in-text cite it, and Dr. Arnett catches you, then you're in trouble. So please, take it to Rebecca and get that screening, okay? Yeah, just email her. I'm sorry, I'm not even used to all the new COVID guidelines. She's in the library, but I don't think she can do in-person meetings, so just email her. And you can also email her your paper once it's finished. And she's also the citation queen, so if you have any questions about citations while you're doing the paper, email her. You can also email me or Dr. Arnett or look them up on Purdue OWL. But if you want the real expert besides Purdue OWL, Rebecca Newman is definitely your go-to person. Okay, so let me stop sharing this because we're all done with my PowerPoint. Okay, so before I let y'all go, I need to take a picture for attendance. So nobody hop off yet. Okay. I have a picture, so I will have all of y'all's attendance. So, if you guys don't have any more questions, you're free to go. If you do, you're free to stay on. I know this was very short. Yay, but it was just a review of the paper. As soon as I hop off here, I will send out the PowerPoint. And yeah, I think that's all I have unless there's any more questions. No problem at all. You guys have a great evening. No problem at all. Thank you all. Yes, so you can email your paper tutor that you choose, but make sure they agree to meet with you if you can't book the appointment. If you're booking it through email, just make sure that you already have like a time set up before you email them your paper. Yep. And then, like I said, they will take it from there and how they want to actually discuss it with you.
Jasmine, I had a question.
Sure.